4 o'clock, and we appear to have a quorum.
Okay, thank you. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Mesilla Valley Metropolitan Planning Organization Technical Advisory Committee for January 4th, 2024. Before we move on to other parts of the agenda, if the committee members could state their names for the record, and also reminding committee members when you make comments, make motions, please state your name for the record as well. And I'll start on my far right.
Good afternoon, David Armijo with the South Central Regional Transit District.
Bernadette Gendone, Engineering, Doña County.
Ashley Curry, Las Cruces Public Schools.
Sarah Gonzalez, Community Development with City of Las Cruces. Catherine Harrison Rogers, NMSU.
Eric Garcia, Doña County Engineering.
Michael Garza, Doña County Flood Commission.
Mike Bartholomew, City of Las Cruces Roadrunner Transit.
Dave Wallace, BLM.
Tim Pitts, City of Las Cruces Community Development.
Harold Love, New Mexico DOT.
Andreas Sonnen, New Mexico DOT.
Mike, we also have Town of Mesilla representative, and Ms. Roberson is also on her way up to some microphone somewhere.
Oh, okay. I'll go ahead and move on then. Are there any amendments to the agenda?
No, Mr. Chair.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Ashley Curry, so moved.
Michael Garza, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion passes. Next is the election of officers. Did you want to lead off on that, Andrew?
No, you can preside over the election of your successor or yourself,
Okay.
whichever the
So,
case may be.
I'll take nominations for officers for the chair of this committee for calendar year 2024. Having done this a few years in the past, I just don't want anybody to feel intimidated by it. The MPO does a wonderful job of making everything easy for us. So all you have to do is conduct the meeting. So if there's anybody who's interested in it or you would like to nominate somebody, I would please do.
This is Ashley Curry. I'd like to nominate you, Mr. Bartholomew. I feel like you've done a fabulous job leading us.
That's okay?
Michael Garza, I'll second that nomination.
Okay, are there any other nominations at this time? I guess seeing none, I will close nominations. I guess all in favor by acclamation of me continuing to be chair, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. And next I would also have a vice chair. This person would just fill in when I wouldn't be able to attend the meetings. So it's an even easier job for that person. I'll take nominations for that.
Mr. Chair, before we do that, I will note that Ms. Christina Ainsworth was the vice chair last year. She's no longer on the TAC. So right now we don't have an incumbent for that position.
Okay, it's a good thing I showed up then today.
Yes, yes.
Any nominations?
Mr. Chair, although he's not here, I'd like to nominate Renee Molina. He might kill me, but I'm going to do it anyway.
Who is that?
Renee Molina with
Renee
DAC,
Molina?
with Doña County.
Is there a second for that?
Tim Pitts, second.
Okay, any other nominations? Seeing none, is a vote by acclamation for Ray Molina to be vice chair. Please say aye.
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 That'll show him to not show up.
Yeah. Okay, I'll move on to the next item, approval of the minutes for December 7th, 2023. Has everybody had a chance to read the minutes? Are there any corrections? Hearing none, is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I move we approve. Tim Pitts.
Michael Garza, second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor of approving the minutes of December 7th, 2023, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes. Public comment? Anybody from public here to speak? No. We'll move on to discussion items. A Opens Meeting Act compliance training.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We are very pleased to have with us Mr. Sergio Estrada and Ms. Alessandra Martinez from Kemp Smith. Kemp Smith, as everyone will recall, last year was designated by the Policy Board as the attorneys for the Mesilla Valley MPO, and I believe Ms. Alessandra Martinez is going to be speaking or giving this presentation.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. As Andrew stated, my name is Alessandra Martinez, and I'm an attorney with Kemp Smith. I'm also joined by my colleague Sergio Estrada, who is a partner at the firm. And today we're going to just be giving a quick overview of the New Mexico Open Meetings Act. So first, we'd like to discuss the purpose, which is simple. The purpose of the act is government transparency. Laws that require government transparency are often referred to as sunshine laws. Utah was the first state to enact a sunshine law back in 1898, followed closely by Florida in 1905. Since then, every state in the nation has enacted its own version of the act that we're discussing today. Section 1015(1)A in part states, in recognition of the fact that a representative government is dependent upon an informed electorate, it is declared to be public policy of this state that all persons are entitled to the greatest possible information regarding the affairs of government and the official acts of those officers and employees who represent them. So with this purpose in mind, what does the act require? As its name suggests, the act requires open meetings of public bodies. Open meetings are required when formulating public policy, developing personnel rules and regulations, discussion of public business, and taking any action within the authority of the board. Now, while the act requires open meetings, it does not require a public body to allow members of the public to speak at its meetings. However, we think that it's good practice to allow public comment because it encourages public participation, and it also helps to avoid First Amendment violation claims. As with many rules, there are exceptions and there are some meetings that would not fall into the purview of the act. One example would be a meeting between a public body and its attorneys to discuss threatened or pending litigation. In that situation, it wouldn't be open to the public because allowing anyone else to sit in on that meeting would destroy the attorney-client privilege. The exceptions can be found in section 1015(1)H. However, please proceed with caution because there are exceptions to the exceptions. So if you do go to that section to look at these meetings that would not be required to be open, just keep that in mind. Next is enforcement. The act is enforced by the Attorney General and district attorneys. If criminal proceedings are pursued, a violation of the act would be considered a misdemeanor, punishable by up to $500 per violation. It's important to note that an individual may also apply for enforcement through the district courts. In this case, the individual is first required to provide the public body notice of the alleged violation and can only file suit after the public body denies the claim or fails to act. Any individual that successfully pursues a civil claim alleging a violation of the act is entitled to reasonable cost and attorney's fees, which can be very expensive and rack up pretty quickly. So please keep this in mind. Actions taken in violation of the act may be deemed invalid, but there is a presumption that any act taken by a public body has complied with the Open Meetings Act. Next, we'd like to bring rolling quorums to your attention. A rolling quorum refers to a situation where members of a public body engage in a series of private discussions and meetings that would fall into the purview of the act. So for example, if 3 members of a 5-member board, discuss public business in a series of emails or phone calls, this would constitute a meeting that falls within the act. Rolling quorums are a violation of the act because they are not properly noticed, nor are they open to the public. So just please be careful about any discussions you may have with other members, and try your best to just keep public and official discussions to the next meeting where a quorum is present. The act also requires notice. So meeting notices must include an agenda containing a list of specific items of business to be discussed or transacted at the meeting, or information on how the public can access such agenda. Here we have the agenda that you all have in front of you. This is a perfect example of what is required by the act. Except in cases of emergency, an agenda must be made available to the public 72 hours before the meeting commences and must be posted to the public body's website if one is maintained, which in this day and age, I think most do have a website. So the agenda should also be posted there. Except for emergency matters, a public body shall only take action on items appearing on the agenda. So in other words, if it's not on the agenda, the public body should not discuss it or act on it. And for purposes of the act, an emergency refers to unforeseen circumstances that, if not addressed immediately by the public board, would result in injury or damage to persons or property or substantial financial loss to the public body. As you all know, the act also requires minutes. At a minimum, the minutes must include the date, time, and place of the meeting, the names of members in attendance and those absent, the substance of the proposals considered, and a record of any decision and votes taken that show how each member voted. Minutes are subject to public inspection and must be drafted and prepared within 10 working days after the meeting, and shall be approved, amended, or disapproved at the next meeting in which there's a quorum, which you all just did that a few moments ago. The act does discuss remote participation of public body members. So if otherwise allowed by law or rule of the public body, a member of a public body may participate in a meeting by means of remote access, so Zoom or over the phone. However, this is highly discouraged in the act itself and by the Attorney General. So in all cases where it is possible, members of a public body should plan to attend meetings in person. And with that, we will just end with a reminder on the MPO's attendance requirements. For the TAC, Section 3E provides that attendance is required at all meetings, and if a member is absent for more than 4 meetings in a calendar year, that member shall lose their voting privileges or may be removed from the TAC. A member may utilize its proxy or appoint a proxy, and doing so does not count as an absence. However, a TAC member may only utilize the proxy provision. I put 3, but it should say, I believe, 4 times per calendar year. After that, each is considered an absence. And for now, that is it. Any questions? I'm sure a lot of this was a refresher for you all, but I hope that it was helpful.
Thank you. Any questions for? Okay,
Great.
thank you.
Thank you.
Next discussion item, 6.2, MPO
Mr. Chair,
basics.
just one brief thing. Ms. Martinez is actually correct on her slide. There is a difference in the number of allowable absences versus the number of times that you can use proxies. It is limited to 3 that you can use as a proxy. So I just wanted to make sure that was clearly understood, since we do have some proxies here with us today. So, but anyway, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Okay, thank you. Next item is 6.2, MPO basics presentation.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would at this time like to introduce Mr. Dominic Loya.
Good afternoon, Mr. Chair, members of the Technical Advisory Committee. I'm Dominic Loya for MPO staff, and we will just be going over the basics of the MPO. So metropolitan planning organizations, there are in any area that is more than 50,000 people. There are 5 within the state of New Mexico. We have the El Paso MPO, which covers the southern half of Doña County. We have the Farmington MPO, the Mesilla Valley MPO, Mid-Region, which is Albuquerque, and then the Santa Fe MPO. Both El Paso and Mid-Region are transportation management areas, so those are large MPOs. They have over 200,000 in population. So for small MPOs, such as the Mesilla Valley MPO, they are created by joint powers agreements among the agreements among the member jurisdictions. So in this case, it's the three political jurisdictions: Town of Mesilla, Doña County, and the City of Las Cruces. They do specify terms of intergovernmental cooperation, as well as the role of the MPO and MPO staff in transportation planning. Additionally, the JPAs outline the financial responsibilities for each member. So we also, MPOs are required to be governed by bylaws. So when the new JPA went into effect last year, we put in new bylaws. So they were put into effect on January 1st of 2023. The last time they were updated was September of 2023. NMDOT also establishes with MPOs a 3-year cooperative agreement, and that's for the financial grant, so it's on the financial side. And MPO staff generally interacts with NMDOT liaison for most issues with NMDOT and FHWA. So these are the required work products. Updated every 5 years is the public participation plan, which we did last June. We have the Metropolitan Transportation Plan, which we're getting ready to start. Every 3 years is the Title VI plan that will also be done this year. We have the Unified Planning Work Program that is done every 2 years. The open call for projects is done every 2 years on the federal side. And then we have the yearly stuff, which is the annual listing of obligated projects and the annual performance and expenditure report. So the public participation plan defines all public involvement activities, and it's basically a guide for the MPO for the public planning process. And as I said, it has to be updated, and so we updated it last June, and it's before the Metropolitan Transportation Plan process, which we will be beginning this February. The Title VI plan, we have, it establishes compliance with Title VI of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 and all related environmental justice regulations and directives. And it's basically an assurance to the U.S. Department of Transportation that persons shall not be excluded from the planning process. Title VI plan also features a complaint process for Title VI violations. And as I said, it has to be updated every 3 years, and this year we will be updating it. The Unified Planning Work Program is a biannual document that outlines transportation planning activities. So this is basically the work products that we have to put out, and it has to be consistent with the MTP. We will adopt a new one this year in 2024. So there's a couple of things in there. So in this case, what we're looking at are the calls for projects. There's federal and state calls for projects. Those would be in the document. So on the federal side, we have the Recreational Trails Program, Transportation Alternatives Program, the new Carbon Reduction Program, and then the Congestion Mitigation Air Quality part. And then from the state, we always have the Transportation Project Fund, TPF. So these are just some of the things that we've had in the past. The Walnut Street Improvement Project, Elks Drive Trail Project, Las Cruces Lateral Project, the Safe Routes to School Coordinator is also part of the TAP. And then from the state, some of the projects we've had before are the La Llorona Trail Extension down Calle del Norte. And as I said, the current UPWP went into effect on October 1st of 2022, and there will be a new one on October 1st of this year. The Transportation Improvement Program is all the federally funded projects in the area. So the completed projects this last year was the I-25 corridor study. We have some ongoing projects, which are the US 70 maintenance projects. There are just general maintenance projects around the area. Elks Drive Trail Project is going on right now. to be finished up soon. Then I-25 Loman Interchange landscaping beautification, and this is all state funding. And then the University Avenue multimodal project are just some projects that are in progress right now. Future projects include the Roadrunner Transit Maintenance and Operations Center, Dripping Springs roadway improvements, US 70 Phase 5 rehabilitation, and then anything that's more than 5 years, things like Arrowhead Interchange, I-10 bridge replacements, Mesa Grande, and then the I-10 rehabilitation project. The Metropolitan Transportation Plan is the long-range regional transportation plan. It covers a minimum of 20 years. It has to be consistent with federal law. And it must also cite applicable sections of law. It's to identify any type of facilities that function as integrated transportation system. It has to consider the 10 planning factors and relate to 20-year planning horizon. And it also has to describe how performance measures and performance targets are being used in the to assess the transportation system. So there's a system of performance reporting, evaluation, condition, and performance of the transportation system with respect to the performance targets. So those are all in the appendices. It incorporates strategies to improve the performance of the existing transportation facilities, to relieve vehicular congestion and maximize safety and mobility for people and goods. It has to enhance transportation and transit and incorporate a financial plan. So in the financial strategy is dedicated to maintaining not only the existence of infrastructure, but also projected future infrastructure. It must examine implementation of environmental and mitigation activities. Scenario planning is not required by federal law, but is strongly encouraged by both FHWA and NMDOT. FTA and transit planning for the future. And then FHWA and NMDOT encourage MPOs to address emerging issues as they are seen on the horizon. The currently adopted MTP as Mobility 2045 was adopted on July 15th of 2020. The next one in there, the next MTP needs to be adopted by the policy board of June 15th of 2025. As I said before, we are starting the MTP process this year. It will be, the kickoff for it will be at the February policy board meeting. So tax responsibilities. It's just technical review of all transportation plans within the Mesilla Valley MPO planned area. Provide technical input on regionally significant projects to the policy board and serve as liaison between MPO staff and their allotted organization for federal and state grants and projects, and provide updates to the Mesilla Valley MPO staff and the policy board. The purpose of the MPO Basics book is to provide a quick reference manual for MPO-related documents and materials for members of all MPO committees and MPO staff. We are happy to provide any type of updates that are needed to the books. Please just let us know. I will now stand for any comments or questions.
Any comments or questions from the committee? I have a question. Was the material you presented, you talk about the book, is that going to be like on your website or something, or how to, you know, this material, are we going to be able to kind of follow this?
So the material is everybody who's received a book, the MPO 101 book. Some people's are out of date. So if you have anything in there that you need updated, like I said, just email us and we will get that material to you.
Mr. Chair, you've been on the TAC for so long that your book is probably one of, actually, I think it is the most out of date here. The only one who might have been here longer than you is Mr. Love. I'm not sure how long he's been on the TAC, but I'm sure Mr. Hume gave both of you books way back nearly 20 years ago at this point, but we're happy to provide updates, but we do have all of the materials that are in the hard copies up on our website.
Yeah, that's where I would look for it now. I don't need another book on my bookshelf, so. Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Thank you, Dominic.
Thank you.
Next up are committee and staff comments, first starting with City of Las Cruces. Any comments?
Sarah Gonzalez with Community Development. I do not have any comments provided from David Weir.
Okay. Doña County.
This is Angela Roberson with Doña County Community Development. I have no updates at this time.
Thank you.
Mike?
Town of Mesilla.
Mr. Salazar, did you have anything? Oh, okay, my apologies. I guess Mesilla was not here, I thought they were. My apologies,
Okay.
Mr. Chair.
City of Las Cruces, I missed it. You said us first and I wasn't ready for it. We do have an update on Madrid Avenue. We've substantially completed that project between Solano and Evelyn. And so that will be pulling out all the rest of the stuff, but we're about done there. The rest of it is coming up later, all the way out to Treviso.
Las Cruces Public Schools.
Only update is today was the first day back at school.
Roadrunner Transit, that would be me. I think the only thing that I could say is new is we have implemented on our paratransit side what formerly is Dial-A-Ride, we call it Vominos now. We do have software now that our customers, Dial-A-Ride customers, our Vominos customers, can schedule rides online through an app. They don't have to wait for a phone to be available and talk to a scheduler. They can actually get the ride scheduled on an app now. So we just went live with that at the beginning of December, and it's just, we're just getting into it. So hopefully it's going to be a good move for us. That's all I have. Next is South Central Regional Transit District.
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Okay. NMDOT project updates.
Harold Love, NMDOT. Got a couple of items to update. Mountain State Construction will begin making pavement repairs on the on and off ramps on both eastbound and westbound on I-10 mileposts 102 to 116. The work will begin Monday, January 8th, and expected to be completed by January 12th. Also, A Mountain Construction, starting Wednesday, January 10th, will begin replacing the broken concrete slabs on the eastbound off-ramp at Motel Boulevard. The off-ramp will be closed until January 17th, and traffic is encouraged to seek another route. New Mexico 356 in Mesilla, AUI contractor will continue with the bridge rehabilitation, which is New Mexico 356 over the Rio Grande. Majority of the work will take place under the bridge with no traffic impacts expected. New Mexico 157, Bridgehead Radium Springs. AEI contractor will be working on bridge rehab project in New Mexico 157 over the Leesburg Canal. Majority of work will be under and around the bridge with no traffic impacts expected. New Mexico 101, utility replacement in Mesilla. JGF built LCCC will be replacing the underground utilities on New Mexico 101 between Avenida de Mesilla and University Avenue in the town of Mesilla. The roadway will be open but may be reclosed in the next month to finalize utility replacements. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Next is MPO staff updates.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is Andrew Ray for MPO staff. I am finally finally in the luxurious position of being able to introduce Mr. Kyle Metzner as the new Associate Planner for Mesilla Valley MPO. This has been an extremely, excruciatingly long time in coming, but he is finally here with us. He started with us on the 18th of last month, and we are delighted that we are finally fully staffed on the full-time end, and we're actually going to be fully staffed even on our co-op side come later this month. So after Dr. McAdams' retirement in May, it's kind of been a long period of wandering in the wilderness, but we were finally fully staffed again. So very happy about that. The other thing, there's two other things. One of them is, I assume probably everybody saw this to some degree or other, but USDOT has implemented a new greenhouse gas performance measure that is going, the states are required to have their greenhouse gas targets set by February 2nd or 3rd, somewhere in there. And then the MPOs will have about 3 months after that to set our own targets. We are specifically and uniquely called out in that legislation because we are required to set a joint target with the El Paso MPO. So we are going to have to work with the El Paso MPO to set that joint target. So more on this to come, but this will be another performance measure like the other ones that we do. It'll have to go through the committee process, et cetera, et cetera. So more to come on that. Last one that I want to remind everybody is we do have an active recreational trails program, Call for Projects, ongoing right now. The due date to have the application into MPO staff is February the 8th. And we apologize. We know that the timeline for that is very compressed. It is unfortunately a state deadline, and there isn't anything that we can do about it in order to be able to submit the applications in a timely manner. So that concludes my updates, and I'll stand now for any questions.
Thank you. Any questions? I'll move on, public comment. Seeing none, I'll take a motion for adjournment then.
Michael Garza, so moved.
Ashley Curry, second.
Moved and seconded. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Thank you, everyone.